So, tell me about yourself. Uh, I like cats. Interviews. Hi. What's up, YouTube? It's me, Jason again. I recently had an interview to get an internship, basically. My very first, I guess, official job interview type of thing. But, you know, I've been to plenty of interviews before, and that's not to say I'm good at it. So, I YouTube tons of tutorials, tons of tips and tricks to nail your interview to get your job done. Well, I still haven't gotten a reply back, so I probably didn't do a good job. But then again, this channel is about trying new things, and maybe I can teach you what I've learned. Some of the things that I probably should have done, but I didn't. Here comes the new segment for my channel, which is called the Jason Learns from Trying segment. I should make it a song or something, you know? Just make it a little bubbly. But yeah, this segment will teach you the things that I've learned through my, I guess, success and failures, and through my intense research on YouTube. I have 7 things that I've learned. I'll split into 2 segments. One is pre-interview and one is during interview. Post-interview, I know there are some stuff that you should be doing, but I didn't do them. I didn't have time to research on what I should be doing, really. A lot of last-minute effort went into this, so here goes nothing. So, point number 1. Be prepared. Be prepared! Yeah, so you need to do your own research on a couple of things, maybe a whole list of them here. So one thing is the company. You need to know what your role entails, what the company does, you know. So my biggest advice that I'm gonna tell you throughout this video is that you're looking for a partnership. You're not looking for someone to hire you. You're not desperate for a job, even though of course you are. But in this case, you want to come across as if you're trying to, you know, find like a soulmate, you know, see if the company's the one for you. Even though you don't believe in the one, you have to look like it. So that's why you need to understand what the company does. Just go to the website. That's what I did. They have their about section, their contents, what they do. Sometimes they send you the job description as well. Find out their mission statement, their vision. Find out who their CEO is. Do you even like the person? You know, does the CEO look like someone you want to follow? Even if it doesn't, you know, find some redeeming qualities, because you may never know what kind of stuff they will ask during the interview. Research on your hiring manager, because most of the time your hiring manager is the one who's going to be your supervisor, and you want to know everything you need to know about them. Because the biggest mistake one of my friends tried to make when sending emails was that he messed up the gender of his employer, basically, and that didn't leave a really good impression. And also, you can go to LinkedIn and you'll find surprising things about them. You know, what if they went to the same school as you? You can use that as an advantage, you know, when you talk about your school experiences. What if they had the same career path as you? Maybe that person can be your mentor. Or if anything, find out whether you like working under that person or not. From his or her past track records, you know you're not going to like this person. You're probably going to have a hard time during the interview as well. And lastly, research about yourself. Yes, you need to know yourself. Print out your resume, print out everything you can if possible. If you don't like printing things out, I guess having an iPad, but don't use a phone during the interview, of course, because you have many distractions and you'll look as though you're very like unprofessional. That's why you need to know all your past experiences, what you can bring to the company, and whether you are suited for the role or not. Even if you're not, find everything you can about yourself. That was really hard for me to do, but I think that's the most important thing, is to know that your past doesn't define who you are. It's about now and what you can bring to the table, even if you think you can't. Just pretend you can, and that's good enough. Second thing I've learned, point number 2, okay? Anticipate the questions. There's gonna be tons of questions online that people have probably went through before. Some of the most common ones are, tell me about yourself. Oh, what do you want from this job? Why are you here? What are your strengths and weaknesses? How many pennies can stack up to the same height as Eiffel Tower? You know, stuff like that. You can prepare for these questions. There are no standard answers, but just knowing before the question comes to you will help you a lot. You'll stutter less. You'll probably have an answer for it already. Even if you didn't, you can probably come up with something better on the spot if let's say you already preempt yourself for the questions. Third point, you gotta look the part. Like I said, I wore a shirt and a tie. You don't need to wear a full suit or a tuxedo. It depends on what the company values and what the culture is like. There are some companies that values creativity, vibrancy, you know, maybe that you need colored hair or some really good fashion, or some are very traditional, or you know, yeah, you probably need to wear a suit. Some are very casual. Maybe you don't even need to wear a suit. Maybe you just need to wear like a turtleneck, like Steve Jobs. For most guys out there, and any gender basically, makeup is one thing that you can consider. But I just want to remind you that same thing. You're trying to have a partnership with this company. So if you're not into the whole dressing up for others, wearing makeup, aligning to beauty standards in the world, then this company should accept you for who you are. If they don't, then the company is probably not right for you. Of course, if you're really desperate for the job, just look into them, look into what they value, you know, see the portfolios of the people. Do they all wear makeup? Are they all fashionable? Or are they all boring and square? Try to dress the part so that they feel like you can fit in as well. And lastly, this is for those who are going through online interviews like I did. You guys have it tough, because out of all the interviews I've had, yeah, this was one of the harder ones, because there's so many other things you have to consider, like your camera quality. One advice, don't use your phone camera. Just don't. Especially if you're outside, try to find a quiet place. If you can, just do it at home. If it's noisy at home, find some room, find some meeting room, or perhaps go to a very, very quiet cafe. Don't do it in your car, basically. Don't make them show like you don't care about the job. Even if you're a super busy person and you want to come across as, oh, your strength is that you're always busy, you're always onto something. And not during the interview, because I think most interviewers want them to be your priority for at least that hour or two. So do that. Be at home, get a good camera, just webcam from your laptop would do. and good audio. Make sure even the iPhone, earpieces, make sure the mic could be heard clearly. You can get those cheap ones off of like Amazon or something. Even if you can't, just test it out. See if you're loud enough, if you're close enough to your laptop to be heard, because you want to be heard. And internet connection as well. You don't want things to screw up in between. Check your Wi-Fi power. Check if you have Ethernet cables as well. That could help a lot. And point number 4, smile. So here's what I sound like when I don't smile. So during job interviews, you just gotta put yourself out there and make sure you have a good impression on yourself. And here is me when I do smile. So, smiling can help you sound more confident and energetic and enthusiastic about the job. And it makes you feel like you enjoy being there. This is the opportunity of your lifetime. And you gotta grasp it. And that's why you're smiling. Even though it's not. You're dying inside. You're so nervous. You want to puke. You can't do this anymore. You want to break down in tears. But you gotta smile. And that's a very good sign that I know a lot of YouTubers talk about. And that's what I did. And it did make me feel a little bit more confident. As if I'm nailing it. Even though it's just one part of my facial feature that's nailing it. That's one thing, right? Point number 5. Sell yourself. Like I said, it's a partnership. You just imagine yourself. You're your own company. They're the company, so you're your own entity that you're trying to sell yourself. You're the product that you're trying to give them, and they're buying you. So make sure you don't talk down yourself. Even though, yes, you have your weaknesses, they can probably see it from your resume, right? You probably didn't do anything for the past year. Why? Don't just say, oh, yeah, I just got lazy, I lived off of a parent. No, don't say that. Say that you're trying to find yourself, maybe you were taking this time to really get into the right headspace. You watch after your mental health, stuff that it's not really a lie, but it doesn't sound bad. Just work your way around it. And don't talk bad about others. Make sure you present yourself as a really good person as well. If you look like someone who's gonna gossip about your boss, so if you tell them that, oh, my past employer was so bad, like, he's a horrible boss, he's such a jerk, that's why I left, and I couldn't find a job because of him, everything because of him. Yes, that may be true most of the time, but they don't care. All they see is that, oh no, if I screw up and I fire you, will you go and tell everyone else about me like that? So make sure you come across as a very good and kind, gentle person. Not that you're putting a two-face out there, but present the best of yourself. You don't have to speak super politely, or in some occasions you don't even need to speak very formally. Just be yourself, and that will come across as genuine. But also don't talk bad. Just don't talk bad about anyone, and if you want to, maybe in the future you have coffee or tea with your hiring manager and you can talk shit about everyone else if that's what you're into. Though I don't recommend that. Point number 6. Always ask questions. Like, whenever you can. Usually at the end of the interview, they'll ask you like, any questions? And of course you have questions. You have to have questions. Because you're curious about the job, you want to know about them. And it's a partnership as well. It's not about you fitting into their company, but whether the company fits you. Think of it as a partnership. Think of it as a date. Not that maybe you've never been on a date before, but that's pretty much how it goes. You want to find out more about the other side as well. So ask questions. What's a typical day like? What's a typical week like? If they tell you, oh, we want you to work your ass off and basically not sleep and not go home, if you're not into that, probably don't stay, you know. Ask the hiring manager how they got your job. If they tell you that, oh, I had no choice, I didn't know what to do, and if that resonates with you, sure. But if they tell you something inspiring, maybe they can be your mentor. Maybe you can follow their path. And another good question to ask is, what value can you bring? How do you measure my success? Because in most cases, of course not for internships, but for jobs, your salary is quite dependent on your performance. So if, let's say, all they tell you is, well, you gotta meet this standard, that's very vague. They probably don't know how to measure your success. So if you want to raise your salary, for example, maybe a year down the line, they won't know how to. They just know that, yeah, you've done stuff, but so what? We all do work. There's no measurement of success. You can't climb the ladder. You can't get places. Of course, that's if you're privileged enough to have a job that allows you to climb the ladder as well. And lastly, point number 7. This is in general, before and after the interview. It's okay to be nervous. You can go in thinking that, oh, if I don't get this job, I won't be able to pay my rent, I won't be able to pay off my debt. But all that doesn't matter during the interview, or even before, because you're trying to sell yourself, right? You're trying to make yourself a product to be sold, and that's all that matters. Yeah, you can't control the outcome, so just go in and think to yourself, if you were the hiring manager, what would you expect? Probably a very nervous interviewee. So they know that you're nervous. Sometimes they are nervous as well. You can hear them stutter sometimes. Even if they act really confident, maybe they're just putting up a front. Think of it that way. Everyone's kind of nervous when they talk to someone stranger, because you don't know what to expect. There's some unknown element, and that's okay. Embrace it, because that's part of it. That's part of the entire process, and you just gotta do you. If you present yourself genuine, and if the company presents themselves genuine, you find out the information that you need, and then you will know whether or not this is the job for you. And a good way to also help your nerves is, don't think of the outcome of like, oh, are they gonna reply to me in 2 weeks or what? Of course, there are some tips out there for you to do that. You know, getting the business card, make sure they contact you afterwards. But for me, I like to think more short term. Think of afterwards, that meal after you reward yourself, you know? You just had an interview. That's stress as heck. So I treated myself some sushi afterwards, which is great. And maybe you could do that too for yourself. Just make sure, do anything you can to calm your nerves. But if you don't, that's okay. And I think that's the entire point. Whatever happens, it's okay. Just do your best. Even if you didn't follow these points, you still went for the interview. They still looked at your resume and decided that, hey, you're something and someone of value. And that's what matters. That brings me to the end of this video, and I still don't know how to end it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.